Just checking the machining on it. Fits very nice. Somebody was saying they didn't fit right. You're ordering the wrong year or something, because these fit perfect. So welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. I truly appreciate it. And to those who have sent some donations in recently, thank you. It is very helpful. Today, we're going to go ahead and mount on. We have the drop spindles on already with our MP beam, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put the new races in the rotors. We're going to mount the rotors and mount the calipers and get the hose all hooked up, and of course grease the bearings. I'm going to use a tool and see how it works from VEVOR or VEVOR. Not sure how to pronounce it. They sent me a kit for pounding races in, so let's get on it. Let me just get your attention for a second here. Do you remember VW Trends magazine? It was away for 16 years. Well, in spring of 2021, VW Trends came back into existence. So go down into the description below and subscribe to this great magazine. And before we get started, I wanted to say hello to my buddy Oliver. He was at our picnic last year, my buddy Darren's son. And he is really interested at his young age in Volkswagens and helping his father. Thank you so much, Oliver. I appreciate it. And Callahan, his nephew, our newest member. How cool is this? The community is expanding. Now I'm going to time lapse this real quick, so do not remove your fender. I only have 3 bolts hold mine on, and I've got to get a camera in here. So I think it'll be nice. I'll pop this off real quick and it'll make for easier filming. Give me 1 second. Just makes it easier for me to film and get the camera in here, so I'm sure that makes sense. But don't take your fender off. So we've got our rotors, our calipers. I wish you could see these through my wheels, but stock wheels you're not going to. That's a shame. They look good. I got my new bearings, my bolt kit for the calipers, and new spindle nuts. What I'm going to show you right now is about 3 or 4 minutes of a previous video I did where I'm removing the drums and the spindle to put on the drop spindles. Mine are already on my beam because this is that beam in the box that MP sells complete. It's an adjustable 2-inch narrowed with the spindles already on it. So I do have the 2-inch drop spindles. Give me a second while I'm unboxing my rotors and that. Watch this 3 to 4 to 5 minutes. I'll time lapse some of it for you of removing the drums if you have drums on yours and you're converting over to putting the spindles on. And then we'll come current with me doing the calipers and rotors. So hang tight and watch this.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Okay, so I hope that all made sense. That was removing, if you have drums and you're starting out that way, That was removing the drums and putting the drop spindles on. So let's take a look at our rotors, because I'm going to need a little piece of wood so nothing happened. We got to put the races in here from the new bearings. Oh, why did I have bolts in here that I put in here? Bolts and washers. I got bolts and washers everywhere. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's throw the box. There we go. Let's put this on here like that. And we got to get these races in. One thing I want to show you on Volkswagen, I'm going to bring you up close and I'm going to show you something interesting. Now, you were looking in the front of the rotor. Do you see those little notches in there? You do? Okay. When you're trying to take the races out, if you were removing the races, you would come in from the opposite direction, and those little notches, you can hit it with a punch in there, the race, and knock the races out. I hope that makes sense. It simplifies things. Okay, let's open up our races and bearings. I'm going to test the bearings on the spindle, make sure everything is okay. Always check your parts first. Then no, it has nothing to do with empty. It's a matter of checking all parts. So let me set that aside for now. Let's try this out on the spindle. Obviously, your spindle will not be faced this way. Mine's full of dust. Okay. I just want to try this. I want to make sure. Let's just checking the machining on it. Fits very nice. Somebody was saying they didn't fit right. You're ordering the wrong year or something, because these fit perfect. So, okay, we got our bearings ready, our races. Let's bring our tool here that VEVOR sent us. This is for pounding in races and seals and things like that. So now is the perfect time to try it out. I've had a lot of luck with VEVOR products, so hopefully I do today. I hope the right sizes are in here, because it's just one big kit. So we're going to check it out and see. I'll bring you up close, don't worry. It's heavy. And it just says VEVOR tools. Tough tools, half the price. Oh, this is a pretty big set. Wow. Okay, come here. Oh, there's a lot of sizes here. So little O-rings. That's for here. Little Allen head. Oh, there's a ton of sizes. So hopefully, this moved around just in shipping. They're numbered 45, 46, 47. Hopefully it has the sizes that I need. But came in a nice case. I like it. I usually use a brass punch, but we're going to try this out. Let me find the size that fits the race, and let's try to put them in with this. I will say there are a lot of sizes here after I, in fact, started looking through them. One thing to know, now I don't have an old race, obviously, because everything's new. If you have your old race, you can flip the race over, put it on here, and then tap it in. But I was looking through these, and number 50 seems to fit perfectly well. There's a lot of sizes in there. I'm really pleased with this. I was looking this over. This is a nice set. They give you extra O-rings. It's a 52-piece size set. Pretty cool. Okay, so we are supposed to, let me bring the camera around here. Okay, so we already know that the number 50 fits the race. Okay, put this on, put my spacer on, and then my Allen head, and see how it works without the quick disconnect. Come on, get started. And then we'll pound our races in and see how this works. I'm always happy to work with VEVOR. They send me nice stuff. Okay. All right, let's give this a try. All right, let's make some space here. Take our big set out of the way temporarily. Move our rotor over. Let's flip this around. We're going to do the back first. Now, here's something that some folks do. Some folks like to put these in a freezer overnight and it shrinks them a little bit and they go in easier. I totally agree with this, but I didn't, so it is what it is. But we got to pound this in and seat it properly. So give me 1 second and we'll get set up. Now, one thing I am going to do to see if it makes it just a little easier is I'm going to put some grease around here. Every little bit helps when you're pressing a part in, so to speak. So hopefully it helps a little bit. I'll put some around the race and then set it in there. I can't put the camera on the bench, unfortunately, because every time I pound, well, the camera will bounce all over the place. So let's put this on. Center it the best that we can here. I just need to get it started. Oh, it's not going in even, of course. We need it to go in even, so let me tap that back out. Sometimes it's hard to get them started evenly. Let's try again. Set that right in the center of it. Let me do something a minute. There's no edges. I'm not sure why it's fighting. Okay. I started tapping it in with a punch to get it in evenly. It's a very tight fit, more than what I'm used to. And no, I'm not damaging the inside of the race. I've never seen them fit this tight. Let me try this now. Wondering if one size bigger. Let me try this 51. Maybe 52. There. I'm going to use 52 instead. Now, as you can see, I used a punch to get it started. I was having troubles getting it started evenly with the tool, but I don't believe it's the tool. I believe it's me. I'm used to using a punch. All right, let's get back on it. I still want to keep using the punch, but we'll try the tool. Aha. That is sitting a little crooked. Let me drive that side down a little bit more. Never usually have as many problems. Almost there. Getting there. I had grease on it to help persuade it a little bit. Let me make sure it's not condensing it. No, it's not. Okay. I'm getting there. I mean, that is a seriously tight fit. But I gotta have it go down all the way so it seats. Still got about a 1/4 inch to go. Okay, let me shrink down a size so it don't hit where it's seating for the seal. I was resting on that. There we go. And we are seated. Wow, that's a tight fit. Let me try the bearing. Yep, spins nice. And what you want to do, I'll show you here, make sure this is seated down inside until it stops. I'll take a picture and put arrows to it, because the upper one here is for your seal. Usually don't have them fit that tight. Now we're not going to put the bearing and seal on yet until we get the race on the other side. So more fun to follow. Always check your bearing, make sure everything is smooth. And let me find out what size I need for that race. Now this is what I'm talking about. That is where the race will seat, clear down inside. And you'll see the little notches where you can pop it back out. Okay, all right, so let's take our 50 off. And I think what could have been happening, possibly, I lost my Allen wrench, is I might have had one step up too big and it was hitting against the part of the rotor that the seal goes against. So we'll find out, but I believe that was user error. Okay, we'll put our 50 back and we have our race for the front here. Don't know what size I'll need. Definitely not that bigger. Here's a 37 mil. 38. Nah, don't feel comfortable with that. 39. Okay, and remember, you only want to hit the top of this. You don't want to slip inside of it. So you want something that's pretty close to the same. But you don't want to hit the outside of this. So I hope that makes sense if you're new to that. And here's a sure way of checking that you're not going to hit anything. So you have your race, and it fits where it ain't going to slip down inside with the chamfered part to pound it in, right? Right. But you want to make sure you're not hitting against this once it recesses so far, or you're pretty much screwed. That slides down inside of there, so you're not going to hit the outer edge. That's pretty much how to check it, in all honesty. Okay, enough of that. So far, VEVOR does get a thumbs up. This is a really, really nice set. Comes with a lot of sizes. I'm really impressed with that. Let me put this on so it don't fall off. Tighten it up with your handy dandy Allen head, just so it don't fall off. Okay, I forgot to show you. Look what Heather bought me. Although now I got cat hair on it, because guess who was laying on it? Yes, my rag doll. Okay, so a little bit of grease around here. I like doing that. I am going to test that theory. I got to do a VW thing this week or next week, conversion for drum to disc. I should freeze the races overnight and see if it helps. Should we try that? You let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm going to tap this very gently here. Let me do something. This. You all do it different. This is just the way I do it. There we go. Now, see where it's at? Almost. Here, I'll show you something real quick up close. See down inside? See that lip right there? It needs to seat up against her. You'll see that little gap. Until it meets that, don't quit pounding. Back to pounding. Make sure it's even. And I think that's it. Little tiny more. Tiny bit. Wow, now my ears are ringing. Even though they do anyhow all the time. Okay, it looks like it's seated, but I'm going to smack it 2 more times for good luck. 1, 2. That should have been good luck. Pretty sure. These are nice. Keith sent me these. In our live chats, if you ever see somebody nicknamed Dog, Keith sent me these work lights, which was really nice of him to do. And he said, I hope that you can use them. Yeah, I've been using them a lot more than what I thought I would, which was very nice of him to do. He's a really good guy. Okay, we're seated. Let's check our bearing, make sure it's seating properly in it. Yes, it is. Spins very smooth. You know what's next. You know, I do want to say something, and I usually don't make a big deal out of tools. I do to a point if I really like them. This VEVOR set, I'm really impressed with this. It has so many sizes. I looked at our box store, if you know where I mean, and theirs didn't have many sizes in it. This one here, old man glasses, it goes up to 65. I guess this means millimeters. Here's a 74. I mean, this is supposed to be for bearings and races and seals and also transmission work. I can't believe how many sizes are in this, and it's very heavy. It's very well made. So VEVOR, thank you. If you didn't get one of these, and no, I'm not making no money off of it like some of you think, they do give me the tool to try out. This, I give a 5 thumbs up, but I could take my shoes off and do the whole thing. This definitely is worthy. Go down in the description and grab a set. You'll thank yourself. Many uses for them. I usually don't go on and on about a tool, but I will say VEVOR's been coming out with some nice stuff. I am really pleased with this. Thank you, VEVOR. I'm really, really happy with it. I'll do the other one later. We're going to do one side because you don't want to see me do both. Most of the race sets, you know, driver sets that I see come with like 7 sizes or something. But yeah, they did their homework. Smart move. They will sell a lot of those, that's for sure. Okay, now we are going to grease up our bearings. I'm going to do them by hand because I bought a plastic thing to do them in and it cracked. Yay. Okay, let's do the back first. Make sure you have some brake clean on hand so that you can clean their rotors off. There's a film on them to keep them from rusting. All right, we are going to take multi-duty complex grease. Super Tech. Yep, it is from Walmart, and I don't care. It works just fine and saves me a little bit of money. So grease up your race really good. You do want that before you put your greased up bearing in. Okay, our inside bearing. Move that forward a minute. Now we got to grease this up really good. I did buy one of those plastic tubs that you put it in and you stand on it, you know, like an idiot, and squirts the grease through the wheel bearings or needle bearings, whatever you want to call them, roller bearings. But it cracked quite quickly too. Wish I had an old school one. Probably the new ones are just built like junk. And that's what happens with a lot of stuff now. Coming out of it now. Good. Put that in there. All right, slide this forward so you can see. Wipe it off here. I'm trying to look through the camera. It's hard to do stuff when you're actually looking through a lens instead of the item itself. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Okay, and where is our seal? There it is. You have your seal. Now, if you're new to this, nothing to be ashamed of. See how the lip sticks out there? That's what seats on here. So after you've spun your bearing and did the whole thing in there, which we did a good job on that, Round of applause. Yeah, I was just kidding. Okay, so that seat right in. I want to give it a little tappy. There. Little taps. So let's flip her over. We'll put a little grease in the outer race. I always like greasing this stuff up inside, which you should be anyhow. Okay, time lapse this part because you've already watched me do the other one. So give me a second and check out the music. Something I want to bring to your attention, besides wiping this off, I'm not going to hit it with brake clean until it's mounted. Always take your finger and just twist it around, make sure everything is moving smooth. When I ordered my calipers and my rotors and the whole setup, Misty said, I'm going to send you caps, your dust caps. And I said, no, please don't do that. I already have them. She said, are you sure they're for the rotors? I said, yes, they are for the rotors. And she said, okay, brother, no problem. Well, they do fit. I mean, I can pound them on, but they have different dust caps for the aftermarket rotors. That was not her fault. It was mine, and it was a misunderstanding. So she was nice enough to send me a text. When I shot her a text and said, yeah, these dust caps aren't kind of right. And she said, okay, communication gap. I'm sending you two right now. They're en route with FedEx within like an hour. How cool is that? Really? Thank you, Misty. All right, real quick. So this is not flopping around like something that flops around. Let me put my tie rod in place just to keep it stabilized. I wasn't ready yet to do the tie rods. I want to try to mess around with the alignment stuff. So I'll just do this temporarily. There, it'll at least keep it in place. See that? I know I'm not set up for that, which is good. I got some things I want to do. All right, got our hose waiting on us. I even have it capped off so no dart got in there. If you followed along last week, I did a residual valve for the back. So I'm going to take some grease and smear it around here because I always do. Some people say don't do that. I've been doing it for 40 years. Well, it's probably a little exaggerated on the time frame, but you know, I always like putting a little on these. Okay. There you go. All right, let me check my new spindle nut to make sure it fits properly. A little dirt there. There we go. Now forget everything you learned in life right now, and here's why. Remember lefty-loosey, righty-tighty? Yeah, well, this goes on counterclockwise on the driver's side. So, no big deal. The Germans thought it would be funny to do that to you. Actually, it's because the way your wheel's rotating, it won't throw it off. So I'm guessing that was their plan of attack, which was not a bad idea. So remember, the driver's side, you turn to the right to get it off. To put it on, you turn it counterclockwise. On the other side, it is lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. That makes sense. It did. All right, I'm coming right now. Time to put the rotor on. Make sure on the back that your seal stayed seated. Weird things happen when you're moving stuff around. There we go. And push your bearing in like that. Before you put anything on, just give it a spin. It's nice and smooth. Okay. I'm going to push a little more grease into this bearing, just because that's the type of guy I am. Enough is never enough for me when it comes to lubricants and stuff. Okay, well, you definitely want to wipe off the excess here, and of course wipe it off the threads. Okay, let me try that again. Very nice. I like it. It gets the grease through them bearings. Now we are going to put our washer on. You can see there is a little stud, so to speak, sticking out. Put it in the slot, push that on. Take your, fix this a minute. Come on, you started easy before. There we go. I don't have the size wrench for this. It's a goofy thing. They even give you a torque spec. You can't get a socket on there. So now when you are tightening these, do not crank this real tight. You'll just smash the bearings, okay? So what you're going to do, let me tighten it up a little bit. You're going to go a little wee bit just to seat the bearings. That's all you're doing. Loosen it up. I go a little bit tighter. And that's it. You're just seating the bearings. You're not cranking on it like a gorilla or working on it like a monkey. You want to do it properly. So do not smash your bearings. Loosen it once more. Give it a little snug. And that should be it right there. I had one that fit my socket, and I can't find it. But who knows? There's a torque spec if you look it up for this. I generally don't like giving too many torque specs because it's almost like an oil debate with some of you folks. There we go. That is not coming off. Okay, my dust cap I would pound on. I don't have it. It'll be here actually in 2 days for Misty. She's fast on shipping, so I'll put that on when it comes. You know how it does it. You put it on, dink, dink, and it's on. All right, okay. Give it a little tap. I'm waiting for the right ones to come in and make sure those are on. Your speedometer cable, which I'm buying a new one, will go through the back. Oh, how dirty, huh? And it will come through the square, but I'm buying a new one, so that's not going on yet, and then there's a little clip that holds it on. Let's get ready to line our calipers up. Now, the kit comes with, I won't need these bolts, obviously, but the kit comes with your bolts and washers of different thicknesses so that you can even the caliper up back and forth when you bolt it up so it sits properly. These I don't need, but it all came in one kit with everything, which was really cool. So when you look here, you have 2 threaded holes where I got to get these gloves off now. Sorry, sidetracked. You have 2 threaded holes where the caliper will bolt on. So your spacers are going to go on this side or the other side, which isn't fun, to even the caliper up. So let's see what we have first here. All right, now we're over here with our spacers and bolts ready. I'm going to remove my vacuum cap I keep on her to protect. And I'm going to remove this, and here's why. No, I'm not permanently mounting the hose yet, but no matter what brand you have, you always check to make sure it fits. Okay, that's spinning right on. So, perfect fit, no problem. And just for safety reasons, I'll put my vacuum cap back on for right now. Where are you at? And put my cap back on, just so no dirt gets in the system. Now, I will show you when I'm done here what went on. But here is your 2 holes to mount your caliper. And there's your 2 holes there to put the bolts through. When you put this on, and you put it over where the bolts are going to go through, you have to make sure, falling all over the place here, that these are even on both sides. That's where the spacers come in, okay? Because if you have it, here, let me turn it a little more for you. If this is more than one side to the other, the brake pads will wear unevenly. So to get it even, like you see there, and I'll show you when I'm done, it'll be easier close up. We're going to have to put some spacers in here. So I'll go ahead and do that and speed up the film. As soon as I'm done, I'll show you exactly what I did. Okay, do our bolts fit right? They're a 17mm head. And yes, no problem. All right, let me try to figure out how many spacers I will need. I'm going to guesstimate first. We can always take it back off. Looks like 2. So give me a second here. I don't know if that will be the right combination, but we will find out in a second. And don't worry, like I said, when I'm done here, I'll bring you up close so you can see what went on. And then it'll all make sense. This is the fun part, is trying to keep the spacers in there while you're starting it. Okay. And 2 for the bottom. Oh, wait a minute. Let me check. Haha. It looks like 2 was right. Okay, good deal. Let me get on the bottom here and do these, and then I'll move the camera around. I'm pretty sure you know what's going on by now.
Now, when you're putting those spacers in, take your time. If you even have to remove them and add or subtract spacers, it is very important that the caliper sits equally for the front pad and the rear pad. I hope that makes sense.
I'm going to tighten these up and see if this is even. And it should be, but we're going to make sure. So we're going to take a 17mm socket and tighten these up. Okay. All right. Now we're going to check it. Now look what we did. We put our spacers right here. Okay. And you want to make sure there's it is the same. It may be an illusion on camera, but the gap between here and the gap between here is even. And that's what you want to make. Even back and forth. If you needed to go the opposite direction, then the spacers would be in between the bolt and the caliper to push it that way. So that should make sense to you. I needed 2 spacers. I got lucky the first time. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put our hose on, and I'm going to go over something with you with the bleeding. Now pay close attention here. Okay, this is very, very important. Now, I have all new brake lines on, as you can see. Even clear inside to the master. Everything is brand new. Now, the most of you doing this are not going to have all new brake lines. So, what do I do here? Oh, crap. If I try to loosen this older line, it could break, and then I'm going to have to replace the brake line. Here's what you can do, okay? And I did this in a conversion video when I did it for a friend. I'm going to pop the caliper. I'm going to spit it on to here and tighten it, and then put the caliper on. This will save you, yes, you, the aggravation of breaking a brake line here. I could simply pop this and spin it off and put it on. But let me do it according to, say, you have brake lines that are a little older and you're in fear of breaking that, okay? So what we're going to do here, we already have our spacers and what we needed. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. The 2 17mm bolts. Slade had it a little tight. Okay. This is if your brake lines are a little older, and if they are, then you should be replacing them. But if you just can't do that right this moment, then this is how to do it so you don't have to mess with them. Keep your spacers on the bolts that they go on. That is the bottom one. Okay, so we're going to take off our vacuum cap, toss it over to the workbench, and I missed. Oh well, I'll find that. Let me throw this too. Did you hear that? Okay. So take this and you're going to spin your caliper. The GoPro camera fell for the other angle. Let me set this here 1 second. I don't think that suction cup worked good. Okay, back to work. We're going to spin this on. Okay. We're going to take a 14 millimeter wrench and we will get it on there one day. We'll just snug it lightly just for right now. But we're going to take and make sure that it's curved the right way, which on here, it's perfect. Okay, so we're going to do it that way. Let me pop the spacers back in and tighten it up. We're going to go over the bleeding and a couple of things here. So sit back and watch. I'll put some music on. Give me 30 seconds. Now, make sure to take your 14. Now, don't go crazy and break this off, okay? But you want to tighten it enough. There we go. And now, here, I'll do this to make it a little easier than moving the whole steering component. Okay. No, don't take your tie rod off. Now you can see how that moves. Nice and smooth. No tangles. You could never turn your wheel that far. It would rip off the car. But that's the deal. So, let me pop this back on. We're going to go over a couple of things of how I feel about things and what I like to do. For one thing, I'm going to take a rubber sleeve and I'm going to put it over top of this. Just in case this would rub anything. It's highly doubtful that it will, but it can't hurt. So I'm going to take a piece of rubber hose, whether it be, I don't know what material yet. I haven't decided. When I do, I'll let you know. I'll slice it, or I'll take this off and slide it over it, just as a protection. I don't see anybody do that, but I've done it in the past, and I hit the lottery the next day. So pretty cool. So there is my master cylinder. Okay, and do you see the residual valve? Right there. You all right? Thought I hit you in the head there. That residual valve is a 10 psi residual valve hooked to the rear port of the master cylinder to control the rear drum brakes. So what it will do is hold 10 psi of pressure to the rear drums at all times. You don't have to do this. That is entirely up to you. If you look in the description below, you can see the video that I did on this last week. If you're not following along, you should be following weekly, but if you're not, it's okay. I understand. It holds pressure to the back. You always have all the stopping pressure on the front, obviously, especially with disc, but this kind of equals it out a little. If you're running 4-wheel disc, then you'll be running either a 2 or 3, I can't remember, a 3 psi valve for the back. So that's the deal. You do what you want to do. You don't have to have it, but it equals it out and it gives it a much firmer pedal when you're doing disc on the front. So the next thing I want to show you, you have 2 bleeders, one at the bottom and one at the top. What I like to do, you do what you want, and I'll be doing it in a couple of weeks because I have to put the transaxle in, hook the rear system up, and then we'll be bleeding. I'm going to show you how to bleed it properly. Use the top bleeder with it jacked up slightly in the front. That's what I do, and I've never had an issue. Ever, 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 ever. So I'm going to bleed it off in a couple of weeks. We're going to do the transaxle next, the rear bearings, and then the rear brake assembly. And then I will have an assistant help me to bleed. I'm going to gravity bleed, and then I'm going to go ahead and pump the pedal deal. If you have a pressure bleeder, go ahead, have at it. I'm trying to teach it in a simple way where people cannot afford to buy all these extra tools. I do not bench bleed my master cylinders with Volkswagens. I never have, and I never will. You do what you think is right. And if that makes you happy, well, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And another special thanks. I can't help but thank people, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't mess around doing this stuff. Thank you, Liam. He's with his dad, Toby, as you see here. And he's here polishing some bumpers because this has been a whole father-son project together. And they've been following for a while now. I shouldn't have said following. I don't like that word. They've been hanging out with us for quite a while. And Liam took a really big liking to these, just like I explained, like Oliver did earlier. You guys are awesome. Great fathers, getting your sons involved in this. I love you all. You folks are amazing. Let me show you something else. Since if you're following along with me religiously weekly, I'll show you something I'm really happy about, and then I'll leave you go so you can go do whatever you do. I don't want to know what you do. So if any of you remember who follow along weekly, my hood that was on here, or should I say trunk, front runk, trunk, that wasn't easy to say. It was twisted. Here's a photo here. Now, I hooked up with Evan, and he went ahead and said, you know what, I got a 73. I think this is 73. It doesn't have the Volkswagen logo spot for it. We're going to put one on anyhow. And he said it's rust-free, it's straight, it's clean. And look at that. Beautiful. Let's open it. I was really happy about this. I got to oil the hinges, because he also gave me some hinges because I had a bent hinge. So I mocked everything up. Now, here's something that I did that some of you'll go, oh man. At least you folks got some guide rail videos out of me for your sills. But this aftermarket apron gave me a lot of trouble. It's on, it's straight, it's cool, we got it. I cut the rail off of it so that the trunk would close perfectly well. So I'm going to pop these rails off. It's already got to see the video on how to do them. And I'm going to use a Mexican seal that goes to the trunk lid and closes, and we're golden. Perfection. Well, wasn't that entertaining? I squeezed a lot of little things in sometimes because during live chat on Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern for the summer, a lot of you folks will bring stuff up about certain videos. So I could tell folks are keeping their notification bell clicked and following weekly. Live chat Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope a lot of you make it. We have a lot of fun in there. It's not just car talk, a little bit of everything. I think it makes it fun. Thanks for being here. Bless all of you. Much love.